falling for the unavailable. I should have known better. From the moment I met Ethan, I felt it. An unshakable pull, a gravity I couldn't escape. It wasn't just his icy smile or the way he listened like every word I said mattered. It was him. The way he existed, effortlessly taking up space in my world. But Ethan wasn't mine to love. He had a girlfriend. Emily. Sweet, perfect Emily, who never seemed to doubt her place in his life the way I doubted mine. She was the kind of girl people looked at and thought, of course he loves her. She fit beside him in a way I never could. Still, I stayed. As his best friend, his confidant. I laughed at his jokes, listened to his late-night rants, and swallowed the ache in my chest when he looked at her like she was the only person in the room, and then came the moment that broke me. We were walking home after grabbing drinks, and he turned to me, slightly tipsy, his expression soft. "You're my favorite person, you know that." I let out a breathless laugh. "You're drunk." "No, I mean it." He stopped walking, eyes locking onto mine. "I don't know what I'd do without you." And for a fleeting second, I let myself hope. I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, I was more than his best friend. Then his phone buzzed. Emily. He smiled at the screen, and just like that, the moment was gone. Loving in silence. People tell you to confess your feelings, that the worst they can say is no, but they don't understand. The worst isn't the rejection, it's the change. The shift in their gaze, the hesitation in their voice, the way things are never quite the same after. So I kept my love for Ethan locked away, buried under forced smiles and casual conversations. Some days I convinced myself it was enough. His friendship, his laughter, the way he pulled me into his world like I belonged there. But then there were the other days. The days when I watched him with her, saw the way he whispered in her ear, the way he pulled her close, and it felt like my lungs had collapsed. I was drowning in a love he'd never return. One night, I almost told him. We were sitting in his car, parked outside my apartment, and he was venting about Emily. "I don't know," he sighed, rubbing a hand through his hair. "Sometimes it feels like we're just going through the motions." The words were on my tongue. Leave her. Choose me. But then he looked at me, eyes filled with something unreadable. "You ever feel like you're waiting for something that's never going to happen?" I swallowed hard, forcing a smile. "Yeah, all the time." He didn't get it. He never would. And yet I stayed. Even as it broke me, even as it hollowed me out, I stayed. Because I loved him and I didn't know how to stop. Losing myself. The longer I stayed, the more I lost pieces of myself. At first, it was little things. Saying yes to plans when I was exhausted just because Ethan would be there. Skipping out on dates with guys who could have been something real because I was too busy waiting for him to see me. Letting my world revolve around him like he was the sun, and I was nothing more than a lonely planet caught in his orbit. But over time, it became worse. It was late, and I was at a party I didn't want to be at, watching him with Emily from across the room. She leaned into him, whispered something in his ear, and he laughed. Really laughed. The kind that made my chest tighten. It was the kind of laugh he used to reserve just for me, and in that moment I realized just how pathetic I had become. I turned away, gripping my drink like it could steady me. "You okay?" My friend Jenna's voice cut through my thoughts. "Yeah, just tired." She followed my gaze and sighed. "You have to stop this." "Stop what?" I asked, playing dumb. "Waiting for him. He's not coming, and you know it." Her words stung because they were true. Later that night, as I lay in bed, I finally admitted it to myself. Ethan wasn't mine to love, and if I didn't walk away, I was going to lose myself completely. The first goodbye. The decision to walk away should have been freeing, but instead, it felt like grief. I knew it had to happen. I couldn't keep living like this, orbiting Ethan like a dying star, but knowing something and feeling it are two very different things. The next day, I saw him at our usual spot, coffee in hand, oblivious to the war waging inside me. I wanted to tell him everything, to scream that I loved him, that I had loved him for years, but instead I forced a smile. "I think I need some space," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Ethan frowned. "Did I do something?" I swallowed the lump in my throat. "No, it's just, I need to figure some things out." He looked at me like he wanted to ask more, but instead he just nodded. Okay, that was it. No grand declaration, no dramatic moment, just a quiet goodbye between two people who were never meant to be. For days I questioned my decision, replaying every moment between us. But deep down, I knew it was necessary. I needed to learn who I was without him, to reclaim the pieces of myself I had lost. And maybe, just maybe, I could find a way to love again, even if it wasn't with him. And as I walked away, I told myself I was doing the right thing, even if it didn't feel like it, even if it hurt more than I ever thought possible. Learning to let go. The days without Ethan felt like an open wound, raw, aching, and impossible to ignore. I thought cutting him out would bring relief, like finally ripping off a bandage. Instead, it felt like I had torn out a part of myself. Every song, every inside joke, every street corner in the city was a reminder of him. At first, I tried to stay busy. I picked up extra shifts at work, started going to the gym, and even forced myself to go on dates. But every time someone laughed at my jokes or reached for my hand, I felt nothing, because none of them were him. One night, I broke down. I was scrolling through old messages, rereading every conversation, searching for something, anything that could justify going back. Maybe if I just explained myself, if I told him why I left, he'd understand. Maybe he missed me too. But then I saw a picture. Ethan and Emily at a party, his arm wrapped around her waist, his eyes crinkled in laughter. He looked happy, unbothered, like my absence had barely made a dent in his world. That was the moment it hit me. I had been mourning someone who had never truly been mine. I had spent years loving him in silence, waiting for a sign that he saw me the way I saw him. But the truth was, he never did. I threw my phone across the bed, anger and heartbreak mixing in a way I couldn't contain. I deserved better than this. I deserved to be loved out loud, not in quiet longing. So I made a promise to myself. No more waiting, no more hoping, no more rereading old messages or looking for signs that didn't exist. I was going to let go, truly let go, even if it killed me to do it. The next morning, I deleted his number. I blocked him on social media. And when the ache of missing him became unbearable, I reminded myself, love isn't supposed to be this painful. And maybe, just maybe, one day, I'd believe it. Finding myself again. Letting go of Ethan wasn't an instant fix. I didn't wake up the next morning feeling whole or free. If anything, the absence of him was suffocating. It was like I had spent so long defining myself by my feelings for him that, without them, I didn't know who I was anymore. But I was determined to figure it out. I started small. I went to a coffee shop, one he had never been to. It was ridiculous how much of the city felt like his territory, like every corner held a memory I wasn't ready to face. But this cafe was new, untouched by him. And for the first time in a while, I felt like I could breathe. I brought a book and sat by the window, sipping my coffee slowly, watching people pass by. No one knew me here. No one knew my heartbreak or the years I spent in love with someone who never saw me the same way. I was just another girl, sitting alone, reclaiming her life one quiet moment at a time. As the weeks passed, I forced myself to try new things. I signed up for a painting class, despite the fact that I could barely draw a stick figure. I went on solo movie dates. I reached out to old friends, people I had unintentionally pushed away while I was so wrapped up in Ethan. One night, Jenna convinced me to go out with a group of friends. I almost said no, afraid I'd spend the night comparing every guy to Ethan, but something in me whispered, go. So I did. And that's when I met Ryan. He wasn't Ethan. He didn't make my heart race immediately, didn't send me into a whirlwind of emotions I couldn't control, but he was kind. He listened when I spoke, asked me questions that made me feel seen. He laughed at my sarcasm and told me I had a great smile. I wasn't ready for anything serious, I knew that. But for the first time in a long time, I saw a glimpse of a future where my happiness didn't depend on Ethan. And maybe, just maybe, I was finally learning how to love myself first. A love that chooses me. Months passed, and little by little I became someone new. Or maybe I became the person I was always meant to be. The version of myself that wasn't waiting in the shadows for someone else's love. I won't lie and say I never thought about Ethan. There were still moments when his name popped into my head like a ghost from my past, but it didn't hurt the way it used to. He was a chapter I had finally turned the page on. And Ryan was different. What started as friendship slowly grew into something more. He never made me question where I stood with him. He didn't leave me decoding mixed signals or searching for hidden meanings in every conversation. He was steady, patient, and real. One night, as we sat on his couch watching some terrible movie, he turned to me out of nowhere. "You seem happy," he said, studying me like I was something worth understanding. I smiled, and for the first time in forever, I meant it. "I think I am." Ryan's fingers brushed over mine, gentle, waiting. He never pushed, never rushed me. He let me set the pace, and that made all the difference. "Can I ask you something?" he said softly. I nodded. "Are you ready?" It wasn't just about him. It was about everything. About love, about moving on, about trusting someone with my heart again. I took a deep breath, and for the first time, my answer wasn't hesitant. "I think I am." His smile was slow, patient, like he would have waited a lifetime for that answer. And when he leaned in, pressing the softest kiss to my lips, I felt it. Not the reckless, all-consuming fire I once mistook for love, but something better. Something safe. Something that chose me. I used to think love had to be painful, that it had to be this tragic, all-or-nothing kind of thing. But I was wrong. Real love wasn't about waiting in the wings, hoping to be seen. It wasn't about longing for someone who would never be mine. Real love was standing in front of me, holding my hand without hesitation. And this time, I chose it back. Because for once in my life, I was done waiting.